All right, and Laura had requested that we discuss consolidation of area school districts. So that item is on the agenda. Laura, do you want to discuss what you wanted to talk about?
Well, maybe as a board, we might want to give a recommendation to our board president to reach out to the other board presidents and get their sentiment on it to start with. That might be a starting place. We do that.
Okay.
Do you still have, are you having meetings with the other board presidents, Gary?
Yeah, I've actually had as a discussion with the board president of Brookfield and the board president of 96.
And what did they say?
It was just general discussions to introduce ourselves, talk about it. In regards to, and then I brought up the issue since I just met last week with Brookfields. They got a lot of things going on. They just had a referendum for their facilities. They're in talks with legislation to actually get their district to increase the ability to expand their borrowing base because they're at their limits in order to build out of both their facilities.
That's why consolidation makes good sense for them.
They don't know if that makes sense for them, and again, it was just the president. It wasn't. She wasn't speaking as a, at the board as a board. In regards to 96, again, I had general discussions with him, and again, the concept is that they don't see, or he didn't see what benefits that would necessarily have one way or the other with consolidation. So I don't know what the motivation would be for him to discuss it with, to go forward to discuss it with the board. I think neither of them had a kind of a concept to say what benefits would their individual districts get on a consolidation, and they were hard pressed to figure out what that would be. So
one thing is maybe we should. There's plenty of information about there, the pros and cons to consolidate, and what the issues are. Some of the pros are you would likely, when you consolidate, you need to have less administrators. It's not going to cut them in half or by 3/4 or anything like people say, but you don't need 4 superintendents, for instance, but you probably have a superintendent and at least 1 assistant superintendent. You don't need 4 CFOs. You don't need 4 heads of special ed. But you're not going to put in.
But they had that conversation. They just, again, the thought process was quickly to their heads. They said, administratively, cost-wise, there's probably not a lot of savings. It would make sense if you can physically reduce the real estate associated with all these districts. And the sense was 96 said we're bursting at the seams. 95 said we're bursting, Brookfield said we're bursting at the seams, and we need all these facilities. And so they didn't think that from a facility standpoint there would be any savings. We have an additional issue with Comeric actually has a portion of their district that actually is Proviso High School. And so if you bring that in, what do? You would have a whole issue of that side that is north of Cermak Road. It does include the school. It does include the shopping center, but there's also the residential area that goes up to, I believe, the railroad tracks that currently goes to Proviso High School, the Proviso School District.
Yeah, we do have some students come from Broadview come here.
Right, but that's already in Comeric's district.
Right.
What I'm saying is Comeric's district is right now gets split once they graduate.
I think so does Brook Park, and we'd have to ask, like Senator Bliss, so Evanston has gone to consolidation, York has gone to consolidation, and so has Downers Grove and Elgin. So all around us, they have, so some of the benefits are is your grade school teachers will actually make more money.
Well, you don't know. Hold on a second. The issue is you're going to have all the different pay scales. The concern is whether, both sides, how do you deal with the fact there's 4 different pay scales?
Well,
when you
and that
consolidate
gets-
districts like ours.
Typically in a consolidation, your elementary teachers fare a little better. You'll have greater continuity in your curriculum. You also have more options for teaching staff. You're not locked into these single school district buildings, so you're not an eternal second grade teacher if that's not a good fit for you. You know, maybe move to a different building, maybe you can move to 4th or 5th or something. You've got more opportunity when you start to combine whole districts. We also can start to look at curriculum continuity where we can reach down into our feeder schools and we don't have this difference between the 2 junior highs that feed into the high school.
That's a plus.
Yeah, you know, you could set a vision for the community. When you have these different schools feeding into the one high school, you can start to set that.
But if you're looking at the
Single vision.
cost-benefit analysis, the concept of if you're going to think you're going to be raising, especially in our school district, we have 3 grammar school districts and 1 high school district. If you were raising the grammar school teachers' pay, as part of it, it would cost a lot more than potential savings on the administrative cost.
I'm just saying, typically across most consolidations, your elementary school faculty
Well, the other
have done a little better.
Yeah, the other
two issues
the
are-
other issue you have right now is the fact that there is a disparity in the levy rates.
right.
You have one school district who's like $3.90 per AV. You have other one who's like $5.65 per AVV, and you got another one who's like $5.20, but that's potentially going to go up once they get the impact of their debt raised.
The
So
other-
you could read into who's got what, but it's a big differential between 3-something and 560 all of a sudden too. So you have those issues to worry about. And what I sense from the 2 presidents is they have issues that they need to get moving forward with. The referendum and the other one they're working out they just changed their curriculum on certain ones, and I think with the input from the high school, they just changed their math program to follow, I think, what the recommendation was from the high school. So that I don't think they have any motivation necessarily to focus in on again what's in for them. I don't know if they're necessarily going to want to do any legwork to say what's in for them. I think the only way this would work is if we were to petition as a informal referendum on the next election, non-binding, to see if the actual voters of all the school districts would want to even have us consider and then put together, based off of that off of that vote, to then put together a committee from each of and work together to pros and cons and show what impact it has on those districts.
I definitely think we need to go there, and I think maybe we could reach out to like Senator Bliss, who's going to run for governor, or some of the others, and ask, or to get some people to present to the board who have gone recently to a unit district. Did you see a benefit? What were the benefits? I believe there are several. I don't know that we have them all. I think you could also move with space, and you also have different ability in buildings. You could start to have different programs within the same district.
Well, I would
other
say,
big-
again, the two districts that I had talked with, they believe that they're at their max with their physical facilities.
But then you start to take all the buildings and the entire expanded unit district. And so when one school is full, not every single school in these 5 feeder districts are packed.
The other part of the economics is besides the one Gary brought up, the other big one is what's the condition of the infrastructure of each of the districts. So for instance, we're going to finish some construction this summer, and we pretty much have renovated the whole, the taxpayers have paid for that. If you're going and combining districts and are way behind on the infrastructure and the maintenance, then, they're in a sense disadvantaged by it. If the other grammar schools, the high school wouldn't matter because they all serve it, but, and how they're funded. Some of the school districts have big reserves still, and some of them don't have much reserve at all. So that's another piece of two pieces of the economics that have to be weighed in and doing it. And, it'd be interesting, like you said, that what the other districts have done. It's easier to do probably, and I don't know if those fit into it with a district that provides transportation too. And I don't think, do any of our districts provide transportation?
I was just going to say,
So to say,
out,
to even it out, you're not going to take a kid
pay
from,
transportation.
20 from over at the far end of North Riverside and send them to the LaGrange school. It wouldn't,
But you might not have to go all the way across town.
Well, I
We have some
understand.
schools that are close enough.
I understand.
that
You could
shift.
redistrict the schools if you did that.
Yes. I mean, I think there's enough people looking at their tax bill feeling that they're paying redundant fees. And, Quinn started that move and asked districts that feed into a single high school district to look at that. So I think it would behoove us to get information. Maybe nobody in the district wants to do that, and so it won't happen. But it wouldn't hurt to get more information.
I agree.
I wonder if there's a way that consultants could provide that information for us, because these other school districts went through this. I doubt they did it by themselves. There's probably someone that,
Well, what the biggest consultant you think would do it is the ISBA, but they are against consolidating schools. Why? The separate school districts fund them.
true, but I'm just wondering if you said York or whoever's done this.
Yeah.
They must have had someone help them out to get it
Yeah.
started.
So maybe, if you don't mind, I'll write a letter and get some information. Who can we ask? And bring it back to the board?
Aren't you our rep for the School Board Association?
Yeah.
See that? We got the III coming up this fall.
So at the III, I did talk to Senator Bliss, and he said that's what they did in Evanston, and they put it on the referendum as an advisory referendum, and start to ask questions. Who did you talk to? How did you, what are the steps? What consultants
Do
did you
you
get?
have to run an advisory referendum, do you have to have the other school districts have a majority vote by their boards to put the question up? Or
No.
one school district out of all of them? Even though it's an advisory.
I think I don't know. I don't know, but I would think
be a
you
legal
probably
question.
probably be a legal question.
I don't know, and I think those are good questions that we could ask and start to get some comment on.
Well, if you look at the last budget proposal, or like when Quinn pushed this was what, 5 years, 6 years
Yeah.
ago? I mean, there was sort of panic going on, but the senator, I think, that pushed it was basically a cost-saving measure. So, I mean, just from that standpoint that he did that, shows you there probably will save money. I'm not saying how much, but there's a rationale behind it, and I think with the state budget problems we're having, it's probably coming anyway. If the state really thinks it's going to save money, it'll probably make it easier for us to happen. So I see nothing wrong with at least getting ahead of the curve if we can.
Just looking at it, maybe it doesn't work out, but starting to ask some informed questions and getting some information.
Makes sense to me.
So,
It doesn't hurt to gather information.
Right.
Right.
It comes up all the time. Get some more information, so we understand what the pros and cons are.
Right. I mean, this isn't an overnight project.
No.
This is a long, you get this done in 10 years, you're winning the game, I think.
right,
That's a good point.
And that's still better for the long term.
right.
You know.
So you'll look into what they used to.
Yeah, I'll start
for
to ask
purpose of-
questions, who did you talk to? Did you use a consultant? Who
How'd you
ran some
ask them if
numbers?
they
How long? What was the timeline?
Yeah,
Did they have an analysis, how they did the
Right.
cost-benefit analysis of it?
what kind of information, who did that analysis for you? How did you get that? Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And then there are complicated things with not all the districts feed in here. I mean, that's.
Right, and I'm sure that's probably
a hard problem to
true.
get through, but there's got to be a solution to it.
Right.
down the line. I don't know what that is. You don't want to lose some tax base, but I don't know.
Now that yeah.
Proviso wouldn't want us to have
Right, I mean, 'cause, yeah.
Comac students, because they'd lose the tax
I
dollars.
believe.
Well, but that particular piece of property, I think, is tied up in a TIF for, I don't know how many more years, but they keep extending it.
Oh, okay.
That's that corner shopping center.
It's a small portion of Broadview.
And there's not a lot of residential in that area, but most of it is that shopping center, so, but it does have,
Gina, what's the split on the number of kids? Like, what was Caden's graduating class and how many of them are going to both, to
I don't
RV
know
and
those
Verizon, you
numbers.
know?
I mean, they had 84 graduate, 83 graduate. Yeah, but like you said, everything north of Cermak to the railroad tracks. There's a very small section.
yeah, there's not a lot of real,
I would
there's not
say
a lot of
it's-
residential in there.
Out of the 84, I would probably say it's like less than
And the 80
25%.
And they're in-
Probably.
20 kids.
Probably.
And I
16
mean,
kids.
Scott can do a differential and add up the 3 AVs from the 3 feeders versus the RV. I think it's like $50 to $70 million of AV differential, if I remember. But I mean, you can, that's the X. But then again, a lot of it is already kept low because of the TIF and that's shopping center.
I mean, they're
It's already
fighting it,
been
so.
15 years, I think, right?
Well, it was supposed to be up, I mean, they're in the
Yeah.
process of trying to
Yeah.
figure
Plus
that out.
even just buying power and, you know, having single contracts and business contracts and computer contracts.
I think it makes sense. I mean, I don't see why we wouldn't look at it.
No, I mean, I think we can continue discussing and maybe, like I said, if
Get
we
some
move forward
information.
with that, I just get the sense that there's a lot of other issues, at least with the two I talked to, that they're focused in on resolving and to throw school consolidation, they just didn't see
Yeah, I
what.
think their problems will be finished before we get this done. Really. You gotta rebuild Ames, they'll be done with that before we
Yeah.
finish this.
So, all right.